Right, still ahead, a song that came out of a reflection of the past year. We've all been thinking back, as I mentioned, over the past 12 months, and in many cases, how bizarre it's been. Well, you're going to hear that in song form as we talk to the two who put it together. You're listening to Insight here on CapRadio. I'm your host, Randall White, and we are back in just a moment. Welcome back to Insight here on CapRadio. I'm your host, Randall White, and with most of us forced to stay home because of the pandemic, many of us have had time for reflection, to think about what's transpired over the past year. There was COVID-19, of course, but also social justice movements, a really unusual election, followed by violence at our very own U.S. Capitol, record-breaking wildfires and heat waves, and the continued racism against Asian Americans that we've spoke about in depth during the past segment. Siblings Abey and Nani Lin took time over the past year to reflect on all of this. For Abey, he returned to his home in San Francisco from Beijing, where he was going to film school. And for Nani, it was a shift from going to school in person her senior year to, of course, Zoom classes and starting off her first semester of college online instead of on campus at NYU. So they created a song called Chasing Reversal as a way to reflect on how the past year has changed them and the world.
Now when I look up, I wish I stayed there. I feel like I'm running in circles. I feel like I'm tripping on hurdles. I feel like I'm chasing reversals. I feel like I need more rehearsals. I think that I've been here before. Now I'm overgrown. I feel so alone. Nobody been here before.
Just a beautiful song. Recently, both siblings have used their social media accounts to stand up against Asian American violence. Abey and Nani Lin join us now to talk about how they came up with this song. It's great to have you both here. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
So you could describe it as somber, yet somewhat hopeful, especially at the end. What was the tone you were going for?
Yeah. So, well, first of all, thank you so much for having us. Mm-hmm. We really do appreciate it. But yeah, chasing reversal in and of itself is an oxymoron. It's about running forward to chase something behind you. And no matter how hard you try or how long you run, you'll never really reach it. Mm-hmm. So I just turned 21 and Nani is now 18. And because of the pandemic, we were both in this weird gray zone when we were entering adulthood, but we were literally and figuratively stuck in our childhood.
Yeah, it's definitely an ironic experience that's heightened by the pandemic. There's a silver lining of being fortunate enough to spend one more year with our entire family. However, always being in this environment is a constant reminder of what life was prior to what it is now. And a lot of this song came from that reminiscence and sort of bittersweet nostalgia.
Yeah, and we wanted to write the song as honestly as possible to kind of capture exactly how we were genuinely feeling. So this past year for many was a lonely and very lost year. But something that we both kind of experienced was that we actually got an opportunity to start the journey of finding stability within ourselves. And building that foundation for us was very hopeful. So though the song is somber, we wanted to end it on that hopeful note, like you mentioned.
And this, sorry. This song comes from our personal experience, but we wrote it in a way that it can adhere to anybody who's listening. It adapts to the listener and their experience.
What a great keepsake. You know, many of us have like our Facebook feeds and that sort of thing to look back at what it was like. But years from now, you'll be able to play that song and say, wow, remember that? You know, because music really brings back emotions.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
Exactly.
So if you could walk us through what led up to actually writing it, how did that conversation begin, Nani?
Yeah, so, I mean, Abey and I have always been, we always have done music together. So it's, you know, it starts the same way as like sitting next to a piano. We began by sitting next to the piano and we were just talking about this confusing feeling. And then that conversation sort of led us to wanting to express ourselves beyond just words, because it was such an intense feeling. It was a very collaborative experience. Both of us contributed to every aspect of the song. So that means lyrics, chords, melodies, harmonies. We worked on pretty much every part together.
But like in terms of the lyrics itself, more specifically, we wanted to tap into our own personal feelings and experiences. And the parts where we sing alone are unique to ourselves. However, the parts where we harmonize with each other, those are about things that we both had felt.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. It's so professionally done. This is not something you just recorded in your bedrooms. Or maybe it is.
First of
I
all,
don't know.
thank you.
Yes.
Well, that's a huge compliment.
What we were going for. That's what we were trying to.
That is a huge compliment. But it was recorded, yes, in my bedroom. Everything was done here. We recorded it on the piano, and we got everything done in this little space.
Wow, that is super impressive.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So, Abey, this is not your first creative project. You also had a short film called Catching Love that you made a little over a year ago, pre-pandemic, I'm guessing, in which people from various cultural backgrounds come together to show that we are all human. So let's listen to just a little clip of the film here.
I am unique.
I am a listener,
I'm an extrovert.
lawyer.
I'm a pioneer.
I am the mom friend.
Communicator.
I am a little brother.
I'm a film director.
I am a doctor. I am not a virus.
I am not a virus. I am not a virus. I am a human. We are all human.
So it must have been early on in the pandemic then, because they're mentioning the virus and saying, I'm not a virus. I am a human. What sparked you to create this one?
So yeah, a year ago, a little over a year ago, actually now, when COVID-19 first began in February. So this was before lockdown even began. I remember sitting down with my family, and we would be watching the news, and we would see these attacks on Asians all around the world. And I just remember looking back and being like, we have to do something. We can't just sit here and watch and wait till it reaches our community and stuff like that. So we created our film Catching Love. And it was dedicated to addressing and more, it was also dedicated to preventing fear-based attacks upon Asians that we saw in early 2020. And because the film itself was about reminding people of our common humanity, as far as like casting went, we wanted to include a very diverse group with people from all different cultures, ethnicities, age groups, professions, etc. And these were our friends, family, neighbors, and teachers.
I was wondering how you met up with all of the people that are in the film.
Yeah, so these were our close friends. Some of them were family members. Some of them were even our teachers, and they were all kind of pillars of either inspiration or hope in our lives. And we wanted to kind of capture that in the film.
You're saying we and our, so this is also collaborative with you, Nani?
Yes, it is. So I was assistant director on the set. So primarily it was like, getting people in, and just there's a lot of administrative things that needed to be done as well. So that was, I shared that responsibility as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So for a while, in the very beginning, I imagine, Nani, you were in New York, and Abey, you were in Beijing. At what point did you come back together again in San Francisco?
So I've actually never gone to campus in New York. So I went to high school here in the Bay Area, and then I graduated, and I've been here since. So there was a point where we did spend, like, Abey was abroad studying, and I was here. So that was there was a distance between us then. But so far, I have actually not been on campus.
Oh, wow. Bummer.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. So it was your freshman year at NYU.
Yes, it's my freshman year. I'm currently in my freshman year at NYU. Yeah.
Right. Because when you said you were 18, I started putting that together, and I was thinking something wasn't connecting. Now I get it. Okay. So, so the past year then you've been in San Francisco, and San Francisco was one of the first places to go on lockdown. So I guess that gave you more time to work on things like this.
Yeah, definitely. Especially being home, we've had more time to work on projects, and that's why we produced a lot of other things, including Catching Love and Chasing Reversal, really only because we have the time to be at home together at the same time. So,
yeah.
And Abey, you were studying film, right, at the Beijing Film Academy. So clearly you've got the tools to put together these professional pieces that we're listening to.
Well, I tried my best to learn and to absorb as much skills or abilities as possible. But yeah, I was studying at BFA in person for about 2 years. It was a pretty stark contrast, to be honest, to like transition from in person to virtual classes, especially since a lot of my projects were hands-on film projects.
Yeah. Why do I feel like I'm going to hear more from you too? And one day I'll be sitting. Honored. One day I'll be sitting watching the Grammys or the Oscars, and your names will pop up. What's next on your list? What are you working on now?
Well, starting off, I mean,
well, we do have we actually are in the midst of creating a film dedicated to the Asian American experience throughout the past year, and also where we are now. So this encompasses not just the negative changes, but more importantly, the positive and the empowering.
Yeah. And then on top of all this, I will be continuing to spread awareness on my TikTok and on my Twitch channel. Those are platforms I've been focusing on in this past year. And I'm basically ready to do anything and everything that I can to continue to remind people of our common humanity. But we definitely can't do it alone. This is definitely something that all communities must stand together against. And so we do really appreciate being on the show, and we appreciate you guys giving us a chance to speak up.
Well, we're happy to have your voices on here and to listen to your amazing work. Abey and Nani Lin, songwriters and filmmakers from San Francisco, thank you for sharing your passion with us this morning.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for having us.
Very much appreciate it. So that's Insight for today. Learn more about our guests at capradio.org. And coming up tomorrow, we will be